In today's video, I'll be talking about self-checkout machines in retail stores. Now you have a lot of them in like places like Walmart, Costco, Kroger's, Ralph, Home Depot, and various other stores. But I think the problem with self-checkout machines is that sometimes it's slower than have using a cashier, like or going through a cashier, because when you go to a cashier, um, you have a pretty streamlined process, right? Where you put all your stuff on the conveyor belt, and the cashier rings it up or scans it and put it in a bag, right? So that's a pretty streamlined process, right? And plus, the cashier is not gonna not scan something, right? They're gonna scan everything. Although they do sometimes make mistakes, it's not a common occurrence, right? But for a self checkout, the problem is the self checkout stations are not very streamlined in the way that they appear. And it's good if you're just buying like a couple of items, like maybe 1 to 5 items or something. But sometimes when you go shopping for groceries, you buy a lot of stuff, right? You may buy a paper towel, you may buy toilet paper, you may buy some meat, cereal, fruits, vegetables, some canned goods, bags of rice, loaf of bread, various things, canned fish, fresh fish, just whatever, a magazine you may buy, candy, etc. So you can have as many as a soda, cases of soda, juice, soft drinks, whatever. You may have a lot of stuff that you buy at one time. You may have as many as um, maybe 20 to sometimes as many as 60 items in that cart. For that, self checkout would take too long. And plus, frankly, scanning like 30 to 70 items is actually work, right? So why would you want to do more work after work to go shopping or whatever? Does that does that make any sense? It doesn't make any sense. So when I go to like places like Costco and Walmart or wherever, if I go to Kroger's, Vaughn's, places like that to shop for groceries or Whole Foods or whatever, I do use the self checkout, but it's usually when I buy just a couple of things, right? Like I buy like 2 items or something, or when I go to Home Depot, I need to buy some types of parts or screws or something, or like a like a tool like electric drill bit or something, or maybe an electric drill, um, a doorknob thing, or something like that. I will probably use like the self checkout if I just buy 1 or 2 things. But if I'm buying like a lot, like let's say I go to Costco or something, I buy like a case of water, I buy a case of Gatorade, I buy some sugar, like bags of sugar, rice, I buy a case of like Progresso canned soup or whatever like that. I buy a whole bunch of things and maybe I have like 50 items or something. I wouldn't like to use a self checkout for that. Usually when I do buy a lot, like at Costco or Walmart, I just use the cashier. I just think it's a lot more efficient. Even though you have to wait in line, you're not waiting in line for that long. It may be a couple of minutes, right? And sometimes for the self checkouts, you have to scan like the heavy items too, like a case of soda or a case of water. A case of water may weigh like 40 pounds or something, and you gotta like pick that up and then scan under it. That's just not feasible, you know, because the way some of these checkout machines don't have like a scanner gun or whatever. It's like you have to physically pick up the heavy thing and then turn it upside down and do all that. That's not feasible. So I'm not against having self checkout machines. It's just that it's not always efficient. Plus, some people um, who are at these self checkout machines, they may be older people and they may not know how to use computers and stuff like that. And you know, and that will create lines in itself, right? Having people who just move slow, or just scan stuff really slowly at self checkouts, don't care if there's a line behind them. That's one of the problems with like self checkout, and just like having to replace all the cashiers with like self checkouts. I think that's a bad idea. That's a terrible idea. Plus, sometimes people forget to scan stuff, and of course, there's cameras monitoring um, all these self checkout stations, and people think they're not going to get caught by not scanning something, but that's false. They would know. A lot of these people who don't scan stuff at self checkouts, they get caught. They have cameras with AI in it, and they could see everything, and they could like people could take a look at it, and they would know that this person stole. And then the thing is, since you can use a credit card only to do these transactions, and there's cameras pointed at them, they're probably going to send a mail to your house and say you stole this. Deal with the legal system or something, or you may get a notice in the mail or something just because you forgot to scan something. And there's of course some people who intentionally don't scan stuff and try to steal like this. And there's always like people watching people at self checkouts. Believe it or not, that's why there's cameras and people are watching, and there's people standing there watching, trying to assist people who don't know how to use it. And I just think it'll be better if they just open more human cashier lanes instead of having to invest all that money and like having people stand around watching other people like do these self checkouts. Or they should just have a balance of some checkouts and some human cashiers as well. Because I don't really think human cashiers in retail stores are going anywhere soon. They're gonna still need them. Like I said, if you're buying a lot of stuff, you want somebody to like do the work, right? But I get it. Stores are trying to cut costs. The machine, the self checkout machine may cost maybe anywhere from $5,000 to $20,000 or whatever, and you could do the math from there. You probably pay a cashier, the store or the retail outlet probably pays the cashier maybe $13 to $15 an hour. They probably work like 8 hours a day there. Let's say 15. They work 40 hours a week, and then in a year they would probably make about $31,200. And using a self-checkout kiosk may seem like it's a good idea to people who own these retail outlets. But let's be real about it. People are going to steal. Of course, cashiers make some mistakes, but I heard that there's a lot of theft when it comes to like people using self-checkout. Not everyone's like honest. They would probably be inclined to like not scan some stuff, and then some people may forget and they end up as criminals. That's especially when you try to scan a lot of stuff. People may forget to scan like one or two items. Plus it's work, so why would you want to do that? There's a place for self-checkouts, and there's also a place for human cashiers that use conveyor belt cashier systems. So that's all I'm saying. It shouldn't just be a one-sided thing, and when the people who own the retail outlets should also consider how much they would lose to like people stealing from these self-checkouts by not scanning it, and consider the other costs of hiring people to watch people scan stuff, right? Because that's also a cost in itself, right? Having someone stand there and watch, having a couple of people is also a problem. And just because back in the 1980s and stuff we had ATM machines, didn't really mean that tellers would become totally obsolete. But there was the fear of that back in the 1980s, since we're going to have automated teller machines, bank tellers were going to be like out of a job. But that never really happened. You're always going to need people, and there's always a use for it. And that's probably going to be the same with cashiers as well. You're going to need cashiers still, but as a result of having self-checkouts, there's probably going to be less of them. And that's what I've been noticing for quite a while, is that when I went to places like Costco and Walmart, ever since they started to deploy these self-checkout machines, there's been less cashier lanes, and that's what I noticed. But I guess they're going to realize, or they're realizing, that it's not always a good idea to just have a lot of self-checkout because of a lot of the problems that are caused by it. So that's my take on today, and if you have any thoughts, you could leave it in the comment section below.